Raizin the Roof, presented by the Central Indiana Realtist Association, a local chapter of the National Association of Real Estate Brokers. Our mission is to build wealth through homeownership by enhancing economic development. We accomplish this goal by informing, advocating, and educating in the communities we serve. And now, Raizin the Roof.
Welcome and thank you for joining us as we're raising the roof. These programs are designed to show you how to build generational wealth through homeownership. I'm your host, Dolores Kennedy, broker owner of B&K Real Estate Services, and my co-host today is
Priscilla Russell with United Real Estate. Priscilla Russell, your agent with Hustle.
You heard that, didn't you? Okay, today we're going to talk about the 10 myths of homeownership. We've got a bunch of stuff to give you and some information that you've probably heard before, some misinformation you've probably heard before, and we're going to get it straight for you so that you will know exactly what it is that you're to look for, what's bad advice, what's good advice. So we will be right back.
Hi, I'm Sherry Boudwin, a loan officer with First Merchants Bank. If you're thinking about buying your first home, give me a call. We have a no money down program and no private mortgage insurance. My number is 317-566-6123.
And welcome back to Raising the Roof. We are here today and we're going to talk about the 10 myths of home ownership. And in addition to that, we're going to tell you a little bit about NAREB and CIRA, the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, and the Central Indiana Realtors Association. And the way that the National Association of Real Estate Brokers came about was at one time, blacks could not be called realtors, which in 1947, a group of men and women got together and they formed the group and came up with the National Association of Real Estate Brokers and the name Realtist. And so from that point on, there's a professional standards that we adhere to. We are promoting homeownership. We're promoting building wealth through homeownership. And what we do here, we have a local chapter here that is pushing that homeownership through education, informing, and advocating for homeownership. So we would like give you more information about CIRA and NAREB. And as we go through the show, we're going to be talking about different points about NAREB. Great organization. And we feel like CIRA is an awesome organization because what we're doing is trying to get educating so that we can get rid of these myths so people will be able to know that, you know what, it's not just, if you hear something, it's not necessarily true. So we're going to take care of some of that. What do you think about that, Ms. Priscilla?
Well, I think it's a wonderful thing that we're at least thinking about what's going to happen as far as the National Association of Real Estate Brokers. Because one of the things that people don't necessarily know is that we do have a list of things that we have to adhere to, such as not discriminating and not doing things that even the mainstream people are not able to do. So we have a lot of things that we're going to discuss today. And first we're going to start with the 10 myths about home ownership. And as we go through it, as Dolores says, we'll talk about some of the things that we do to represent not only blacks, but also other minorities as we go through our real estate career.
Good. And you know, one of the things that one of the myths that's on here, and I'm going to talk about that. And I happened to be in a restaurant one day, and I heard some people talking, and what they call it is ear hustling. So I was meddling, in other words. Okay. So when I was there, I heard these people talking about buying a home. And what he said, the woman, they were talking about, one lady said she had bought a house in California, and somebody said that they had wanted to buy a house here. And the person that supposedly had all the knowledge, she says, well, you cannot buy a house unless you have 20% down in order to get a mortgage. That's the only way that you're able to purchase a home. Miss Priscilla.
Well, what we're going to do is go through this list of things because you're going to learn today that that's not necessarily the case. So, and when we're talking about the myths of home ownership, it's sort of tough sometimes to talk about myths versus the reality of what's going on with home ownership. And you can find all kinds of opposing points of view when we talk about buying homes. So you were ear hustling, but it's okay, because what happened is that you really wanted to go over there and talk to them about what's really a myth and what's really reality. And one of the first myths that we're going to talk about is, you're better off buying. Are you better off buying, or are you better off renting? And sometimes that becomes a question, because some people think, well, I don't have to do anything if I rent. If all I got to do is call the landlord. And both of these statements could be false if you think about it. But the truth is, you sometimes you could be better off renting, but most of the times you're better off buying. What do you think on that?
I agree, because not everyone will be or should be a homeowner, because there are circumstances in which it may not be to their advantage to be a homeowner. But I think in most cases that is a way. I think we build our wealth, and that's one thing that Sarah and NARAB advocates, is building wealth through home ownership. And so this is a way for us to put that information out there through our workshops and through seminars, so that we can let you know what is best for you. Is home ownership okay, what you need to do, or should you stay in a situation that you're in a rental? And sometimes if you, maybe it's because of if you're in a condo, you don't have that outside upkeep and all that kind of stuff, and that helps as far as from the rental versus buying. So that could help in some ways. What do you think about that?
Well, that's exactly correct. One of the things that we have to consider when we're talking about renting versus buying. Now, some people are movers. They might want to move every couple of years from one location to the next and so forth. So it may not be a great idea for those people to purchase homes, because we can't always guarantee that the market's going to go up, or there's not going to be some challenges in the market. And those people who are figuring, I'm going to be around here for a while, 5 years or more, then in the long run, what we've seen is that it's better for you to purchase a home, because ups and downs in the real estate industry, in 5 years is usually going to level out, and you're still going to be able to have that ability to stay in the home. Now, if you're looking at going into a condominium and you don't want to do anything on the outside, you still have to consider the fact, how long am I going to be there? Because if you're going to be there over a certain amount of time, it still may be better for you to own and instead of renting. But some people, they choose to not only rent a home, but rent a condominium. And those are investors who are considering purchasing them, so that you have somewhere to stay either way. But home ownership in the end seems to be the better trend as we look on it.
And another thing, one of the things that people are also saying is that one of the myths on here is saying that home ownership is an investment. True or untrue?
Oh, it is an investment.
It is an investment.
Sure.
And what we want to do is to build on that investment, because I have had people that have, that have bought, had money in purchasing a house that they can send their kids to to college. You know, that is some of the things that if they're in an apartment, they won't have that escrow, not escrow, I'm sorry, I'm thinking of the word that we need that we build up in when purchasing a home. Excuse me. But we do want people to know that building wealth through home ownership is the way to go, and that it behooves you to look at both ways to decide if one is better for you than the other.
Well, one of the other ways that we can help you make that decision is to have you to counsel with a not-for-profit agency who can take a look at your whole situation. And based on that information, they'll be able to guide you into the right way, whether purchase or whether renting is a better idea for you. So that's some of the things that we would be able to direct you to. Now, one of the other things that people have a problem with is they don't want to purchase a home sometimes is because they're thinking, I don't have to pay taxes if I don't own a home. But you're paying rent. So what are you thinking about that, Dolores?
Well, one of the answers that came up was they said that you're not paying it separately like you would if how it is billed out on your statement for your home, but you're still paying taxes and insurance when you pay the rent. You're just paying it for the landlord. So why not pay it for yourself rather than paying it for someone else? I think that would be, I would much rather be paying my own taxes insurance rather than paying my landlord's taxes insurance. What about you?
Well, I feel the same way because you're going to pay whether you pay it yourself or someone else pays it for you. There's no free ride around here. But that's one of the things that people think, I don't have to do that. But you're doing it. You just don't know that you're doing it when you're renting. And the other thing that we can talk quickly about is about that 20% down situation that Dolores was ear hustling on there and in the restaurant. If we don't get through it all, then we'll come back after the break and talk about it. But that's one of the real myths these days, that you need 20% off and down. And in the past, it was true years ago that in order to purchase a home, you needed 20% down, and many times that was some of the ways that African Americans were not able to purchase homes because they didn't have that kind of money to invest in purchasing the home. So there's other ways that were given in order to do that. So we're going to talk about that a lot more as we come back, but we just wanted to sort of bring that out so you would know that there's ways that people present that, and there's ways that we can circumvent that and be able to help you to understand that there are other ways to purchase homes without that 20% down that has been issued in the past. There's lots of programs available now, and we're going to talk about a few of them when we come back, but we'll be back in about 20 seconds, I'm sorry, and we'll talk about the next group of questions, even what it costs to own a home, and some of the things that we have to do in order to keep our homes up and keep them valuable as we go forward. So we're going to be back in a few seconds, and we'll talk about the next part of our myths of home ownership.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Taylor, loan officer with First Merchants Bank, and I would love to help you with your first home purchase. We have a great program that provides a $7,500 grant depending on where you're purchasing and has a minimum credit score requirement of 600. Please call me at 317-566-7611.
Welcome back to Raising the Roof. I'm Priscilla Russell, and this is
Dolores Kennedy.
And we're going to continue our talk about the 10 myths of home ownership and owning a home these days. And we are going to continue our talk about the fact that some people think that you got to have 20% down in order to purchase a home. And that used to be one of the things that we had to do, but things have really changed now. It will be better to have 20% down, because then that allows you to save on some mortgage insurance premiums and things that you might need in order to purchase your home and to get your mortgage down. And the price, as far as what you pay, the monthly fee every month, that certainly would help that to be lower. However, over the years, there's been some changes that's made in the mortgage industry. And even though the 20% is one of the things that we really would like to be able to do, while we're trying to save that 20%, we're sort of missing out on really being able to get the value out of our home and appreciation, as they call it, that where that home might go up in value. Some of the things that have come about in the last few years to help people with down payments are some of the programs that they have available, like for veterans, VA, we have a VA loan that's really 100% loan for veterans. So veterans need to know that this is a loan that they can get with almost no money down and just a little bit of money on the side. So when we talk about it, when you compare that most mortgages are 20% down, and then a veteran, we appreciate these kinds of mortgages to help them to purchase homes, because they have dedicated their lives, they've gone out and sacrificed for us. So the other thing that we have in the pocket right now is the FHA loan. The Federal Housing Administration loan, that's one of the loans that you can obtain with only 3.5% down. And it also allows others to help you make your down payment, if you want to make additional down payment, and also closing costs. Because when you purchase a home, it's more than just your down payment. There's a whole lot of other things that, as you talk to your home buyer specialists and your mortgage and financial specialists, they would explain that to you. And some of the other things that are coming on board right now, some of our special homeowner financing companies, such as First Merchants, which is one of our primary people that are helping us with this program, they have a program that is 0% down. So we have 0% down programs without mortgage insurance. We also have 1% down programs that are available now. This is why you've got to get with the home buyer specialists, get with the not-for-profit agencies, that they can direct you to the right places based on your qualifications. So 20% down is something that you can do if you've got that kind of money, but we can also help you get a home with 0 to 3.5% or even 5% down, without all the extra charges that used to be in the past. So we're just telling you that's a myth, and you can buy a home without having a 20% down.
And another thing, what we want to, it was in saying that, there are several agencies out there, and as she mentioned, First Merchants is one of the banks that is one of our sponsors, that they have the 0% down, and they have primarily, I think they said you can almost have $0 invested in order to move in. So that is something that you do want to keep in mind, that it's something. But when you're thinking about purchasing a home, start your savings then. Hopefully you've started your savings long before then, so any incidentals that should come up, you'll be ready for any of those things that come up. But there are so many down payment assistance resources out there that there are just too many out there to name, and there are so many out there that can help you in purchasing your home. And one of the things, or another one of our myths, and I'm glad you told us about, you don't have to have that 20% down, and we need to speak up about that so that people won't think that, like the day that I was ear hustling. and that's another thing. When that person was telling someone else this information, and who knows where that person was taking that information. So we have to be sure that we get the right information out there for you, so that you know exactly what it is that you may or may not have to pay. So that's one of the myths. So one of our other myths is home ownership carries huge opportunity cost. And one of the things when we were talking about at the beginning, versus renting versus buying, which is better, there are some that will say that instead of purchasing a home, maybe you could put your money in a market money markets or the stock markets or things like that, and you could make a better investment. I don't believe that to be true because the market goes up and down. Very seldom do you lose unless you have not kept the property up, especially in this environment now.
Right.
And purchasing a home. It's very rare that anyone, I think, would lose on home ownership. But do your research. Speak to the professional that can help you in making those decisions. Don't just go by what someone says. No, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. You want to talk to the professional, because I think that's a lot of times with these myths. We talk to our cousins, brothers, wife, sister, and they tell them all this. This person told me this, or this person told me that. You don't know all of the circumstances that came about to make them have to pay maybe 20% if that's the case. So what we need to do is to make sure that you get with a professional so that they can give you the right information that you need to move forward. Ms. Priscilla.
Well, one of the other things that we talk about is home ownership as an investment. And it is an investment, but it's one of those investments that are over time. And many people think now that we have people coming into the market and they're buying homes and they're fixing them up and they're flipping them and then selling them for profit. That is a great way for some people to make money. But when we look at our homeowners, we want to make sure that they are understanding that this is a long-term investment. And one of the things that happens when you invest in a home is over time you're going to be paying down that mortgage. And as you pay down that mortgage, each year, everything that you're putting into it and keeping the home up, we're looking at ways that even as in retirement, we'll be able to have a home and not have a home payment, not a rental payment or a mortgage payment. So we're looking at that investment as long-term and not just something that just happens today and I'm going to get that money really quick. And if you're looking at that kind of an investment, then it may not be the best investment for you, because we can't guarantee that you buy a home this month and then 2 years from now that house is going to be able to sell and you're going to make a lot of money on it. So that's one of the things that's a myth that, it's not an investment. It is an investment. It's long-term in most cases, so we have to remember that.
Yeah, and sometimes people will think that if they buy a home this month, that maybe 2 months from now they're going to make $100,000 on it. That's not going to happen. That's a myth. Okay, so I want you to keep that in mind when you're purchasing a home. And one thing I'm going to give you, some numbers I'm going to give you that's not a myth. The home ownership rate for African Americans is 44.6% versus 72.4% of white non-Hispanics. That is not a myth. That is why we need to bring education so that you can get information on home ownership, building wealth through home ownership. Now, this is not like the slot machine. You go and pull the lever down and all these coins come flowing out. That's not what's going to happen. This is, as Ms. Priscilla was telling you, that you build wealth through equity in your home. As you're making your payment, so much goes towards your principal and you're getting equity each month. You're building that. And so that is something you're to look forward to, because I've had people that have, as I said before, they've gotten money so that their kids won't have to get a student loan, which is it's off the chain now, because kids now, they can't find the jobs and they still have these big payments that they have to make on these student loans. So we want you to think about home ownership versus renting, if that is something that is for you, after speaking with a professional that can help you with that.
Well, one of the things that we'd want to wrap up with is that one of the things we found is that when we're talking about renting versus buying, so many people think renting is just a great thing to do, and they don't want to purchase. However, when we're talking about purchasing, what we find is that most Americans, 70% of most Americans, if we really were to check their bank accounts, many of them don't have $1,000 or $500 to make the payment the next time. So if you're not investing, then you're not. Most of the time, we are not saving our money. So what we are saying is that we would encourage you to consider home ownership as a long-term investment, and knowing that you can't just get over it in 60 days or 2 years sometimes, as most people think. But as an investment long-term, it's one of those things that are going to help you in the future, as Dolores was saying, and you'll be able to have your home and maybe be able to even pay for your students to go to school so they're not strapped with all of these loans in the future.
Yeah, and you know what? And that's a good thing.
Yes.
You know, that's a good thing. And we're going to be right back to wrap up. And I hope this has been information that you can use. And that's what we're here for, is to give you that information that you can take and know that it's not a myth. We will be right back. And we're back with Raising the Roof. You know what? We're going to wrap up for today, but I think we had some information that people can use, and that they will know that there's a lot of myths out there. There's a lot of good information out there if you get to the right people. What do you think about that, Ms. Priscilla?
Oh, I think that, I hope that's one of the things that we were able to get over today, that there's lots of things that we will need to be considering when we're talking about buying versus renting, and that everybody's got to look at it from their own standpoint. And the fact that talking about paying taxes and insurance and so forth, we got that information out there. And the most important thing that I think we talked about today is no 20% down for everybody. So you could get a home with less than 20% down. Just talk to your counselors and try to figure out what works for you.
So we are here to answer any questions that you might have. You can contact me at 317-710-3107, and you can reach
Priscilla Russell at 317-590-7342.
We will see you the next time. We appreciate you coming and sitting in with us. And remember, all information is not good information, so make sure that you get with a professional that can give you good, sturdy information that could help you in your home buying venture. Thank you. Have a good day.
Raizin the Roof.